All right, folks, what is going on? This is episode 486 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am Viv Baller. Over here, we talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons football. And today, we're not going to talk about either one of these teams. We're going to talk about a conference, the Group of Five conference, as a matter of fact. And what does it mean and why they're about to become very relevant to the college football playoff? Yes, the college football playoff, they're about to be very relevant. I'm looking at all these articles, knowing that the playoff is about to expand to 12 teams in 2024. And it just bodes well for the Group of Five. Looking at these articles, reading them, and I have an article here that I'm going to follow, give you my thoughts and opinions on it. The link will be down in the description. And like I said, I'm going to talk about this, and I think it's going to be a very exciting time for these conferences. Let's go right on into it. If this is your first time here, welcome. I can be found on YouTube and Rumble. I'm also on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. And I cannot thank you guys enough for the support. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Let's go ahead and get into this. Yahoo Sports. I got the link. I'm going to put the link down in the description. I'm going to follow this. And it talks about how that the college football playoff is going to be expanding. And it's talking about how that is official. It's set to happen in 2024. And I can't be more excited. But I don't want to go through the entire article because I don't want to waste your guys' time, because I just want to give you my opinion instead of reading word for word for what it says. There is basically at the end, near the end of the article, it has it right here saying, how will the expanded college football playoff look? Now, you could go back and read this article. I have the link down, like I said. But how would it look with this expansion? And it says here, under the new system, the playoff field will be composed of 6 conference championships among the 10 active conferences, plus 6 wildcard teams, guaranteeing a spot for the group of five team. Now I got a question about this. Will this be, let's say, the top 6 conferences? You have SEC, ACC, Big 10, Big 12, Pac-12. What's the other one that we don't have? Did I miss one? Because those are only 5 that I know. I mean, let's go back again. ACC, SEC, Big 12, Big 10, Pac-12. So what's the other 6 conferences? This is a big conference. Am I missing something? I was just confused because I know I'm not missing. It's only 5. It's only 5. So what is he talking about? Nevertheless, he says top 6 conferences among the 10 active conferences. So I guess that's, whatever the top 6 are among the 5 active, plus 6 wildcard teams, guaranteeing a spot for the group of 5 teams. The top 4 conference championship will get buys in the quarterfinals, while the remaining 8 teams will play first round games at their home stadiums of the highest seeded teams. Now, you know what? That sounds pretty neat. Even though that the whole 6 thing kind of threw me off. So I guess they're basically telling me that there's not going to be a Power 5 or a Group of 5 anymore once they do this new system. Because because you're going to add a conference that's going to be the top 6 conference. The Sun Belt could be a top 6 conference. Because you think about it, the Group of 5, when you look at the Group of 5, I believe personally, the Sun Belt is the best out of the Group of 5. It's not even close. I mean, you talk about the Appalachian States, Coastal, JMU, Old Dominion, Georgia Southern, you got all these other teams that are there. And, I should have talked about Georgia Southern. I'm biased. But when you look at all these other teams that are in the Sun Belt, these other conferences that's in the Group of 5 don't touch the Sun Belt at all. So I guess you're looking at a conference championship because one of the top 6 I believe is going to be the Sun Belt. It's going to be the 6th team that's because outside of the Group of 5, the Power 5. The Sun Belt is going to be number 6. Then you're looking at what? 10 active, you got 6 wildcard teams. Who's to say that another Sun Belt team or another Group of 5 team couldn't get in? Well, who's to say like 2 more Group of 5 teams couldn't get in? You see what I'm saying? And with this whole situation here, now you're starting to look at the expansion of talent going across the spectrum of college football. Because you see the transfer portal now. All these kids are moving out. If they really want to play and they're going to feel like they're playing for something, they may want to start looking into these Group of 5 teams. Because you got to understand, it's 2022 now. The college playoff expansion is only 2 years away. So they may want to start looking into this and possibly getting a foothold into one of these group of 5 schools. Because the way it looks like, there's not going to be any more group of 5. There's not going to be any more power 5. Like, everybody's going to be on a level playing field as far as prominence and where they can go. Now, will the seeding and the polls going to be different? Now, I don't think the polls going to be too much different. I think it's still going to weigh heavily on these schools that are already in the Power 5. But when talent moves, and like I'm dead serious, like a lot of these guys who are going in the transfer portal, if they start moving into some of these group of 5 schools, like there's already been a rumor that one of the Georgia quarterbacks could be moving down to Georgia Southern. If you get more stuff like that coming in, you're going to have to start having 4 and 5-star players getting into the group of 5 teams because they're going to be able to play right away. Now you're looking at a situation where a lot of these group of 5 teams are really going to be a problem to some of these Power 5 programs. Obviously, your Alabamas, your Georgias. If that was that, it's going to take a while for, any of these teams to be on a level playing field. But when you start looking at the Clemsons, the Georgia Techs, the North Carolinas, the Kentuckys, all these middle of the road Power 5 teams, they're going to have a really big problem if some of these other teams in these conferences start coming up. You know what I'm saying? Like the Nebraskas of the world. Hell, Texas A&M is becoming really mediocre now. I don't think they're going to be bouncing back to what a horrible season they had. You know what I'm saying? So you're going to have probably at least 6 or 7 teams that are they're probably not going to be affected. Like I said, your Georgias, your Alabamas, you're going to have your USCs. Who else? Probably, I'm trying to think. I think the Ohio State, Michigan, those teams are not going to be affected because, Western Michigan is starting to get some players. I don't think so. But Michigan State may have a problem. You see what I'm saying? Like I said, like the Floridas of the world, those teams may have a little issue. Because a lot of the group of 5 conferences, a lot of the group of 5 teams have pretty decent, there's some pretty decent programs. They just don't have the money behind them. So, yeah, but also that also give credence to the other teams. Let's say like a Florida, like a Mississippi State. Now don't get it twisted. The cream is going to continue to rise to the top. But for the fact that the group of 5 team is going to get a spot in the playoffs, you're going to get players that are going to be saying, hey, look, I seen what Grayson McCall did. Hey, I see what Cal Van Treese did. Hey, I seen what Chase Bryce did. Who was a quarterback that was at South Alabama last year that came from South Carolina? I see what he did. You're going to have players, you have quarterbacks and other players like, look, I can make a name for myself not only at this college, I'm going to play right away, and I have a chance to actually make a name for myself being in a college playoff, probably knocking off 1 or 2 teams. Oh, and best believe, some of these Sun Belt teams, some teams that are in the American and the MAC, some of these Power 5 teams don't want to see a Cincinnati. They don't want to see an Appalachian State. They don't want to see a Georgia Southern or a Coastal Carolina. Trust and believe. Some of these teams don't want to see them. So with that being said, they can make a name for themselves and become a legend wherever they go. Let me say, I think Cal Van Treese has solidified himself as one of the greatest Eagles in Georgia Southern history. I don't think he did the best job in the world, but I think compared to what he's done transforming this program, him orchestrating that transformation and setting records and winning games the way he won the Nebraska game, the James Madison, and the Appalachian State game. People want to look at him as even though he played for Buffalo, he's going to be looked at as one of the legendary Eagles in history. But you're going to have other players that could probably make a name for themselves in that same fashion. Or they can just go to one of these other Power 5 schools and wait their turn to play. That take your pick. Now, do I mean that the Sun Belt's going to, win a national or the MAC or whatever? You think these guys are going to have a chance to win a national title? I don't see that happening. I'm gonna be honest. I don't see any of these teams competing with the likes of these other teams right now. That's going to take time. If you get 3 or 4 good recruiting years out of an Appalachian State or Georgia Southern or, a Coastal Carolina, I'm going to talk about 3 good recruiting seasons, knowing that they have a chance to play in the playoff. If they get 3, 4, or a handful of 5-star players, you're going to look at a team that could probably compete. Now, I know a lot of people looking at me like I'm crazy because, and this is the thing, before I get out of here, a lot of people stuck on tradition. You got to understand, some of these same people were the same ones that was against the 14 playoff. The whole situation with, they didn't lose games, so it don't matter. But now you're going to be looking at a situation, you're going to have about maybe 2 or 3 lost teams that are actually going to be in. It is what it is. Now everybody loves the 14 playoff. They think it's really cool. That nobody's who's out there advocating for the BCS right now? The same ones that used to do it. Do you still hear them? Who's the ones advocating saying that the old system was better before the BCS? Who's still talking about that? Nobody's talking about a clear cut number one that's been, by the coaches and the AP, and we need to stick with that. Nobody's talking about that no more. Nobody's talking about the BCS anymore. A computer generated system that tells people who should be number 1 and number 2. Nobody talks about that no more. They're not advocating for that. And watch, once this 14 playoff expands to 12, you're not going to find people, they need to go back to 4. Hey, nobody's going to say that. Because you know why? For 2 things. They say it now, but this is why you need the playoff. They think that things are going to stay the same because they feel that, these bad teams are going to continue to be bad. No. You have to understand, you have something to sell some of these teams, some of these players now. Hey, you could become, you could make it to the playoffs with us. You don't have to worry about being one of those 4 teams to make it to the playoff. Hey, it's okay. You can make it there and you could be the starter right away. Or you could wait 2 years because you got 2 5-star quarterbacks there, or you got 2 5-star running backs over there, and wait 2 years and possibly get a chance to play. But by then, you'll probably be all upset and be frustrated with some things, and then you're going to turn around and want to transfer anyway. But you see what I'm saying? There's almost 4, I ain't going to say 4, I know there's at least 2,000 kids in the transfer portal right now. You think all 2,000 kids, if they want to play, you think they're going to try to go somewhere else? Group of 5? They can go to any of these teams and play. And if they have a shot to get in the playoffs, once you do that, you start shifting the talent. You're not going to have like 100 something or 200 or 300 kids trying to get into Alabama or another 200 trying to get into Georgia. Some of those kids can say, hey, look, I can still stay home if I go down to Georgia Southern to play and still get a chance to make a name for myself in the playoffs. Or I can go, to another school. I don't have to worry about being in those 4 teams, one of those 4 teams, hopefully to get a chance to play. I think Georgia has 4? I think they have like 3 or 4 5-star quarterbacks. I mean, I get it, but those kids are there because they know they're going to be able to make a name for themselves and probably win a national title. But if you want to go and play, you may want to look at some of these other teams, even some of the teams that are not a group of 5. But that just spreads talent around. You look at the college basketball situation. You got kids in all of these other programs. Why they're at those programs? Because they know they're going to have a chance to make a name for themselves once that 64-team tournament starts. All of them are not just going to 1 or 2 schools or 3 or 4 schools. But this is how it has to be this way, in my opinion. At least, I don't think they should go more than 12, to be honest. I don't think. Because if you have a top 25, I think 12 teams is good enough. You don't want to expand it to 24 teams or anything like that. I mean, I think that's a little bit excessive. I think 12 is a good spot. Some people are already saying 16 maybe. 16 is pushing it, but I think 12 is that spot. And I think you get everybody involved to have a legit shot. Money's going to be spread around. Everything's not going to be funneled to one school or one conference. People are going to expand and try to do some things. It is what it is. That's the way it's supposed to be. That's in my opinion. I think that's the way it's played. I think it'll work out that way. I can't wait to see how this plays out in 2024. But you look at these group of five teams. I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a thing of the past. Power 5, Group 5 don't mean nothing. Top 6 conferences among the 10 plus 6 wildcard teams. Group of 5 is going to get a spot. We have a really good shot. I wonder how this is going to play out for the actual polls or whatever. It's really interesting to see how that's going to play. But I feel like now's the time that we should all try to, get behind this. If you're talking to any of your teams, find a way, or any of your schools, find a way to support, because a lot of expansion is going to be needed. Money's going to be going around to expand a lot of these programs. I think Georgia Southern is doing a phenomenal job of what they're doing. And I think the writing was already on the wall with Jared Benko in the way that he's thinking. He's a visualizer, already looking ahead with the coach in place, with the facilities he's trying to put together. And I think it's going to work. And if this continues the way it's going, I'm going to be honest, and I don't want to talk about this yet, I wouldn't think there'd be a reason for Coach Clay Helton to go anywhere within the next 5 to 6 years. Yeah, I know I said it. 5 to 6 years, not 3 and done. And I think he'll be around for a while if this progress continues to move in the expansion of the college playoff, where, like he already said, we can make that platinum standard for Georgia Southern. And I think we're on our way. I think we've done a phenomenal job this year. But I don't want to talk about the team. I'm talking about the group of 5 conferences possibly making a name for themselves, why they're going to become very, very, very relevant for the college playoff. Let me know what you guys think. The link to this article is down in the description. I focused on the last paragraph. I think it's going to be a really big deal for these 5 conferences. Let me know what you guys think. If you like this commentary, hit the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let me know. I'm on YouTube and Rumble. You also can find me on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. And we're going to get up out of here. Hopefully you guys enjoy your weekend. There's no football this weekend, but we will find out what bowl we're playing in. Hopefully I'll be around and make a video or be live and let you guys know what my thoughts and opinions are about that. And we'll just go from there. All right, y'all. Y'all take it easy and y'all be blessed. Peace.